I'll never forget the time I smoked my first cigarette in Piedmont Park, Atlanta. It doesn't matter that it was my only cigarette. It doesn't matter that I didn't like the cigarette. It doesn't even matter that I got burned by the cigarette. It doesn't even matter that I was too afraid to light the cigarette, so someone else had to light it for me. All that matters is my grandmother slid out a box of menthol Slims and handed me one. And I have never in my life laughed as hard as it was when I tried to take my first puff. First, second, third time, look, it's weird. Just don't breathe it in too hard. Shufi, heck. And so I held it like I saw them holding joints in the movies. And I coughed and I coughed. And I laughed and I laughed. And my grandmother laughed so hard that we were both crying. And my cousin had her film camera, so she took a picture, preserving it as a memory for all my children to see. For all my future children to see exactly how happy my teta made me. And that I would not exchange in a million years. Thank you. I'd like you to know I have not smoked any cigarettes since, although my dad thought she was a bad influence on me. Okay. We're changing pace. We talked a little bit about the ceasefire. A lot of people were coming up to me and they were like, Mabrouk, right? And I was like, Mabrouk ala shu? Like, for what? And they're like, aren't you happy? They announced a ceasefire. Aren't you happy? Look, Gaza is going to get aid and they're going to get all these things. And then the same day they announced the ceasefire, they leveled a residential building. And I said, mashallah, cease. They really ceased it. And then what happened? We all heard about Salih Ja'farawi, and then we saw that he was killed by thugs. And then as we just kept going and going with the days, we find out the aid isn't getting in. And everyone's like, ceasefire, are you happy about the ceasefire? Are you happy about the ceasefire? And I kept feeling like, is this a trick question? Is this like at the beginning where they used to say, are you Hamas? Like, is this one of those? So I wrote a poem expressing how I feel. I thought things would be different, that I would be different, but I am just me, and sometimes that just is laughable in its smallness. And other times, the me is too small to justify the just, and at other times, there is rage, and it is directed in all directions, and I'm so angry. And it's not right to be angry when you're a Palestinian woman. No. You must be level-headed, know your facts and your statistics, engage with questions like you're a PR-trained spokesman. Yes, they declared a ceasefire while they reloaded their guns, and yes, they had Salih Ja'farawi murdered by thugs, and no, you are not violent by nature, but something set you over the edge, and stop. Pause, breathe. You must be calm. Speak of human rights abuses in the international justice system and how many violations of international law were just committed. And how much you hated that other people got closer to Gaza than you ever would. And no. Deep breaths, smile through gritted teeth. They do not care for international law. International law does not apply to them, yet you still learn them. Cite them. And bring them up as relevant conversation pieces to justify why your people deserve to live without the constant looming threat of a genocidal, occupying apartheid state. And again, with that anger, you self-censor, smiles too hard to muster. Is it a ceasefire when they leveled a residential building? And what exactly ceases when they still control the borders? And what of the children they quote so often in their UN speeches? Of the children without arms and legs, of the children without parents or anyone left to claim them. What do you think happens when you declare a ceasefire, but you do not condemn the occupation? What do you think happens when you look at the symptom instead of the reason, and when you, and again, you stop? Breathe. Pause. Mabruk, they say, like it's all over. Like the dead will rise from mass graves and the hospitals will rebuild themselves, knitted by supernatural will. And the injuries will subside and there will be no traces left of the genocide. Mabruk, they say, like it's all over. Breathe. Thank you.